Welcome to Kraken's Garage. How is everyone this evening? Buddy, lie down below that you can hear me.
Apparently so. Somebody says hello. Now, are they watching this on your YouTube channel?
That's correct. We are
Okay.
live.
So
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I don't software program, folks, so I also have to double check. So we're not 15 minutes into it. Today we have a very special guest. Tom, he's a fellow Virginian. He lived out in the Shenandoah Valley in the Ridge Mountain. He's a fascinating man. He's been for 40 years. He's owned 20 motorcycles, I think. And he's taken on a different perspective on how he gets from point A to point B on two wheels on many different levels. All right.
before we get started, everybody be warned that I have a foul mouth.
They're saying that we're breaking up.
Yeah. Am I breaking up? You're breaking up to me.
I'm breaking up to you?
Yes.
Huh. I'm not sure what to do. Let me try upping my
It's working now.
Audio.
Yeah, that seems okay now.
Is that better, folks? All right. Well, let's proceed. And if it's still bad, let me know, folks. So, Tom, what were you saying before we get started? Tom is liable to have a foul mouth. Is that correct?
Yeah, I was just going to say, use his super thanks button as the swear jar. Every time I slip one, somebody give him a buck.
Hello, Andy. Welcome. Thank you coming from New Zealand. I appreciate you. Hopefully, it's at a decent time zone for folks on the other side of the planet. Cazo's from Australia. Andy Gab from New Zealand. We have Steve with Scooter in the Streets in Pennsylvania. We have Trav Life hailing from Ohio. We have Bobby MSG 48 hailing from Arizona. Hopefully, I got all that right. My brain cells have been smashed over the time. But let's get started with the questions. So we're going to dive into the dark mind of Tom here with Uncle Voodoo. All right. First, I got to ask, how did you come up with Uncle Voodoo for the name of your channel?
Voodoo was my nickname in the Army. Let me tell that story?
Sure.
All right. I'll try to make it as fast as I can. I joined in the late 80s, and they were phasing out. I'm a smoker. They were phasing out being able to smoke indoors. And so they built these little boxes. You had to go stand in a smoking box outside. And so me and all the other privates would go out there and smoke a cigarette when we get a chance. And we had this one sergeant that was really religious, and he would come out there and lock us up at parade rest. And so we were forced to listen to him. And he would preach to us about how we were all going to hell and everything. And it really got on everybody's nerves. So one night I was in my room eating dinner, and I was like polishing my boots and stuff. And there was a movie on that had these two big bodybuilders from the late 80s. They were like B-level stars called the Barbarian Brothers.
Right.
And they were semi-truck drivers. But every time they had like a close call with an accident or something, they would whip out a chicken bone. They had this voodoo chicken bone, and they would whip it out and be like, chicken bone, lucky, lucky chicken bone. And so I was thinking about it, and I'm eating hot wings, I'm like, okay, it's in the military, you couldn't wear like jewelry and stuff, but you could wear a religious symbol. So I was like, I could take this chicken bone and put it on like a bootlace and claim that my religion's voodoo, and this is my religious symbol. And so I went down to the Army Navy store and had a new set of dog tags made that said voodoo was my religion on it. And so the next time that sergeant came out and started berating us at all, I whipped out the chicken bone and started doing the chicken bone, lucky, lucky chicken bone at him, like I was putting a voodoo hex on him. And so he ended up trying to have me brought up on insubordination charges. But once I explained, I played it straight. And once I explained that, voodoo was my religion and he couldn't be coming out preaching to us like that, putting his Jesus X on me, and they were like, that's true. You can't be infringing upon other people's religion. So stop doing that. So they made him stop doing that. But everybody else was in on the joke. And after that, my nickname became Voodoo.
So you're the one who started all this separate branding and identity crises that we have in the world right now.
That was me and my woke ass.
Welcome, Nathan. Thank you for joining us, Outback Outlaw. Well, that's a great story. Never knew that about you. First question, or second, actually, what made you decide to start a YouTube moto channel? We talked about this. You really didn't start one. It kind of morphed into it.
Yeah, it kind of changed into one. Because I've been on YouTube since about 2006, even though my subscriber count wouldn't show that. But I did have a big following at one time. And I was more into debunking conspiracy theories and supernatural things and confronting, long-held beliefs that people have as true, but haven't, everybody thinks this is true, but it's really not. Kind of like when you're a kid and everybody around you believes Santa Claus. Eventually everybody stops, but there's still things like that we, people hold to be true that are actually false, like George Washington never chopped down a cherry tree type things. And so, but that was a really kind of controversial thing to be doing because it didn't matter what I was talking about, I was offending somebody. And so I just got tired of all the threats of lawsuits and my channels being banned and things like that. So I eventually just quit and just started posting videos of me riding a mountain bike, me playing golf, whatever. And then I bought the monkey. It just happened to throw up a video on, hey, here's me and my little mini bike. And people went nuts and the channel just exploded after that.
Excellent. So 2006 you started, so we're talking what, 4, 7, 8 years working on your 8th or 9th year of doing YouTube. Welcome, Shane. Wow, I feel like a babe in the womb. I'm only in my 3rd year of doing this, and it's been quite the journey. It's been a long road, but
it's changed a lot.
Of course it has.
It was a lot more of a social platform, where today it's more of a commercial platform today.
Since your channel kind of morphed into becoming a YouTube channel, are you probably doing it somewhat for a legacy? I mean, family members. I don't know if you have kids and things like that.
Not as a primary goal. That's kind of a side effect, I guess. If my channel stays up long after I'm gone and my great grandkids want to see what grandpa did, they'll have it. They can see that kind of thing. Because like I never got to meet my grandparents. I couldn't even tell you their names.
I only got to meet my grandmother, and the rest were buried by the time I was born. So there you go. Serving eggs and bacon every day of their lives, put them in the grave a little early.
My grandparents went out in a blaze of glory, I guess. Not in a good way.
So let's talk about what you're riding right now, and then that'll segue into my next question. What are your current bikes right now?
I have a 2021 Royal Enfield Himalayan, and that's my primary bike. And that's actually my primary vehicle. I ride that bike year round, even though I do have a car and another motorcycle. Those are my business vehicles. And the other bike is the Honda Super Cub, and that's my delivery bike. All
right. So before the Royal Himalayan, you had Honda Monkey or Monkeys, plural?
No, just one. Monkey.
Just one. Okay. I know you were rebuilding the motor on it and stuff like that. All kinds of wild stuff going on. When did you transition to mini motos, or let's say smaller CC bikes? And what promoted that?
Actually, I started on smaller bikes.
Right.
The first motorcycle I ever bought was a 1982 Yamaha Seika 400. And that's not necessarily a mini bike, but that's a smaller displacement bike.
White one with the red swoosh?
No, it was all maroon.
All maroon. Okay.
Yeah. And I knew absolutely nothing. I was 16 years old. I knew absolutely nothing about motorcycles. I didn't even know what a CC was. I mean, engine size, I knew nothing. I knew the name Harley Davidson, the name Honda and Yamaha, and that was about it. And I saved up some money and decided I was buying a motorcycle. I didn't care what it was. I was buying one. Yeah, couldn't afford a Harley because they were all too expensive. So I went to the Yamaha dealer, and they had I think it was last year's model. It was like, it might have been about the beginning of 83 or something.
Right.
Because they had a RZ 350 on the floor. So that was about 83. And they had this 82 Yamaha Seiko. And I wanted the RZ 350 because that was the sport bike of the day. 350, two-stroke, Kenny Roberts, hot rod. I'm like, oh, there it is. There's my bike. Well, I only had $1,200. I couldn't buy it. I didn't have enough money. So the only thing that I could afford that I halfway liked was the Seiko. And so I ended up buying it. And with it being a 400 and not super powered, that was probably the bike I needed to buy as opposed to anything else.
Good stuff. Okay. So you started out on a 400, which actually is a pretty big bike for us back then. Yeah. Because there was a CB 125 and really puny bikes that were available in this, I take it in the 70s.
Yeah, they were early 70s to late 70s, I believe.
Okay. So that leads me into the next question. Your work bike, you use that exact verbiage on the Super Cub. You quit your job and you threw up the middle finger to corporate America, who was a tough road to hoe, and you did what?
I didn't actually catch that. You were breaking up again.
I'm still blipping in and out.
Yeah, a little bit.
All right. Sorry about that. I said, so basically you quit your job with corporate America, threw up the middle finger, marched out the door, and what did you do for a living?
I literally did.
This is fascinating, folks. Listen to this story.
Well, when I quit, they were like, "Why are you quitting?" I'm like, "Because I got fuck you money." And they were like, "Oh, what's that?" I'm like, "That's good. I got enough money to say fuck you."
All right, fair enough.
I always wanted to be a bicycle messenger, like in New York City.
Right.
I always thought that was like watching Quicksilver with Kevin Bacon and all that. I'm like, oh, that'd be an awesome job. And it's just something.
That's a great movie. That's a great movie.
And being in Virginia, there's not a whole lot of call for bicycle messengers. And so it kind of morphed into, I'd love to be a delivery guy. I'd love to be a pizza delivery guy or something like that. And I've thought about this for decades. And so I had gotten my own business up and running, a local delivery service. And I was maybe a month into it and starting to pick up steam when COVID hit and shut everything down. And I was still at the factory then. And so I got put on mandatory overtime and everything like that. And I was overwhelmed and I had to shut it down. And within the next year or so, that's when DoorDash and Grubhub and Uber Eats and all came out. Or came to this area.
Which was a natural transition during COVID because people couldn't go to the restaurants.
Right. But when it first hit, everything stopped. If I would have kept going, I probably would have been really successful. But, I was kind of worried too, I didn't know what was going to happen. So I kind of just put everything on ice. And so I ended up just, now I work for all the apps and just deliver food, DoorDash, Uber Eats, all that. And it's a great job. I hate the companies. The companies are terrible. DoorDash is an awful company, but I enjoy the work.
All right. Let's talk. We could spend all stream talking about DoorDash. I wanted to. Thomas shared on his channel some of his DoorDash episodes where he talks about them, and they are fascinating. If you're into, looking at a peek of America behind the curtain of how things are happening, and I want to talk about Grandma ordering the French fries. Can you briefly talk about that story?
Yeah. I just, throughout the day, I just get order after order after order. And I got a McDonald's order to pick up. It was chicken McNuggets. Pick up chicken McNuggets.
That's it, McNuggets.
Yeah, and it was an all right pay. It was just doable job. I was like, yeah, I'll do that. No problem. Nothing out of the ordinary. And when I drop off, I've got the customer gets to make one of two choices. Do you want me to hand it to you, or would you like me to leave it at your door? So they select one of those. This one was a hand it to me order, which means I need to go up and knock on the door. When they open the door, I hand them their order. So I go to the door, and as I'm approaching it, I can see that the front door is open and only the screen door is closed, which is normal. If somebody's waiting on their food, a lot of times they will just leave their front door open. And so before I could even knock, I hear a voice from inside the house, female voice saying, just open the door and come on in. I'm like, okay. You know, is Uncle Voodoo about to star in a porn movie, or what's going on here? So I opened the door. I opened the door, and like right in front of the door is this little old lady sitting in a big like Barca lounger, and she's like sunk back into it, and she's got a walker in front of her, and she says, I fell down yesterday and I'm having trouble getting around. I sat in this chair and I'm stuck. Can you help me get up? I was like, yeah, I'll help you get up. And so as I'm like reaching out to her, you know, to take her hands, she puts money in my hand, which is also not uncommon. If somebody gives you a cash tip, they hand it to you. And so I'd never count it in front of the customer. So I just like stuck it in my pocket real quick and went back to helping the lady get up. Once I got her up to her walker, she's like, I need one more favor. I'm like, I'm here, you know, what do you need? And so I like follow her through the house. Ends up, she's got a paraplegic granddaughter who's laying in a bed, and she wants her to know if I can pick her up and move her to another bed. I'm like, yeah, I sure, why not? You know, I'll do it. So while I'm doing this, she explains to me that she's been trying to get like home care to come out to her house all day to help her with her granddaughter and couldn't get anybody to show up. So out of desperation, she ended up ordering DoorDash, hoping she would get a big enough dude as a driver to help her move her granddaughter. So I tried to give her her money back. I was like, you ain't got to pay me for this, man. I'm sorry. She wouldn't accept it. It ended up being like $50, but yeah, she couldn't get help. So she ended up calling DoorDash to help move her granddaughter.
When Tom shared this story, I was godsmacked. And the reason being is this is how broken America is. This lady can't get medical attention to help her situation. She's old, her daughter's a paraplegic, and it would be cheaper for her to find resolve by calling DoorDash and ordering chicken McNuggets to get some help. That's crazy. That's just crazy. So I just couldn't believe it when I heard that story. So we got enough time. We're on schedule. Any other wild stories you want to share about DoorDash?
I mean, I have so many. I wouldn't know where to start. I've got a friend that dashes, and me and her, we were actually dashing in different cities. We're 50 miles away from each other.
Right.
We're constantly reporting back and forth funny things that happen, taking screenshots or pictures or whatever. And I had another one because, like I said, it's either hand it to me or leave it at my door. Sometimes I'll get conflicting instructions. This one was hand it to me, but in the extra instructions it said, please don't knock. I'm like, well, how in the hell am I supposed to hand it to you? If I get to your house, I can't knock on the door. Am I just supposed to open the door and walk in? I mean, is this lady going to be in the bathroom and come out and see me sitting on her couch holding her food, you know, while I'm flipping through the TV channels? Or am I going to have to stand outside her living room window looking like John Cusack holding holding my DoorDash bag over my head like a boombox or something? And we get all kinds of funny stuff. I got one to a hotel. I had to pick up from Ruby Tuesdays and take it to a hotel. Thing was, the hotel shared a parking lot with Ruby Tuesdays. It's like 100 feet away. I'm like, okay, I'll do it. I mean, it was like $6 or whatever, you know, just to walk it across the parking lot. But the instructions said, hand it to me, I'll meet you outside. Like, if you're coming outside, cross the parking lot and pick up your own food, save however much because it wasn't $6 for him. It was more than that. Because DoorDash charges you out the nose. So I'm like, whatever. I go in, get the food, come out. The guy is standing next to my car, right outside the door. I mean, I walked out the door of the restaurant, went, there you go. That was the easiest one I've ever done.
There you go. So, folks, if you want to see some interesting stories of Tom talking about his DoorDash and what he has decided to do for a living, you bought that Super Cub, which is 125cc it's not a scooter. It's actually a motorcycle because that has a 3-speed transmission.
4.
But, 55 miles an hour, 60 miles an hour, 4-speed?
Yeah. Don't rip me off.
Damn. All right. How many miles have you put on, and when did you buy it?
I bought it, I guess, April of last year, and it's sitting at 8,000 miles right now. I put those on within about 6 months.
That's crazy.
But I haven't used it much this year because as motorcyclists, it's a no-brainer for us to say it would be cheaper to do it on a little motorcycle like that than in a car.
Right.
That's just naturally how we think about it. But I've been trying to explain to people that commuting on a motorcycle and owning a motorcycle for recreation and working from the saddle of a motorcycle are completely different things.
They are.
And I had to come to the realization because I ran a test where I ran exactly the same amount of miles and orders and things in my car and the motorcycle, and wanted to add up which one is, how much better was the bike than the car. I just so happened that I do own an economical car. My car is a Toyota Prius. So if you have like a Subaru or something like that, you're not going to get the same numbers I do. And it ends up that after you add in the mileage credit for taxes, the car is more economical than the Super Cut. Well,
that's crazy.
Yeah,
crazy.
I end up retaining more money. Put it that way. So as a business decision, it's more economical for me to use the car than the motorcycle.
Racing is in the chat. Hey, old man zombies, welcome, Jesse. But I maybe get your name, but I think it's Craig. He's our age, and he got back in. He was quite the sport track riding racer in his day. He's our age, and he got into it, and he's tearing it up. So he's doing some great things. So
closest I ever got to racing was Eric Buell lent me a motorcycle to take it around Mid Ohio sports car track.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
He gave me his bike, so take off.
Very cool stuff. He just picked up a new track bike, one of those Coleman CT 200s.
Oh yeah.
Like we started off, the Briggs and Stratton deal when we were kids. Exactly. We talked about what bikes you currently own. So when you still work for the corporate America, did you commute on your bikes to work or just take the car?
No, I always commuted either on the bike or my bicycle. In rain or shine or snow, if people thought I was absolutely insane, I would show up in the snow.
That's what amazes me, because folks, he's in the mountains, and in Virginia it gets cold in the wintertime, and I'm watching videos of doing DoorDash in the bitter cold, and I'm like, you are the man. So that's just crazy stuff. What made you decide to do? There's two other elements I want to talk about on his channel that are unusual. He does a lot of camping and do it on the Super Cub, or he'll do it on when he had the Honda Monkey. Yes, on a Monkey, he's loading up all his camp gear and heading to the mountains and doing the whole deal, pitching a tent, fire, cooking dinner, the whole enchilada. It's amazing. Welcome, Mr. G. And now he's doing it on his Royal M11. You've kind of bowed out of that of recent. Has it been too hot, or just working?
Yeah, time is the thing.
Right? Gotcha. Interesting stuff. So what made you decide to start moto camping on a moto?
Well, camping was just always something I've always done. I was in the infantry in the Army, so we just lived I was with the 10th Mountain Division. So we just lived in the snow, whatever. We didn't have tents, we always used a poncho or something. And it's just habit that, I'm going camping. It's just time to go camping. I'm going camping. And then when I got the motorcycle, or the little Honda Monkey, that was the only bike I had at the time. And so it was just kind of a no-brainer, throw everything on the little mini bike, head off into the mountains.
Good stuff. You want to get back into it? I know you haven't had time.
Yeah, I've never really stopped. It's just eventually going to do it again. It's just a matter of when. But I'm actually going to do it a little different moving forward. I think I need to start because I've been doing a lot of like backwoods solo camping out in the wilderness, and I need to visit more campgrounds. So like the campgrounds that are accessible from like the Blue Ridge Parkway and things like that. I want to kind of go check them out and show whether that's a nice campground or not and things like that.
And Zombie is a retired Army. I believe 388 Racing, that's actually his second channel. His primary channel is MSG Retired, and I believe he's retired Army as well. These guys slap me if I'm wrong, but it's hard to remember.
MSG Retired would be Master Sergeant, I'm assuming.
That's correct.
I was a lonely staff sergeant.
So I assume that's Army branding on their hierarchy, correct?
Yeah, it's different ranks. He was an E8.
Here's the oddball curveball question of the night, and I saw his hair, and now he's gone. Joe Boo.
Joe Boo's here.
Joe Boo is here. All right. Has anybody seen the movie Major League with Charlie Sheen about baseball? If you have, you will understand who Joe Boo is. Yeah. Boo makes secret appearances, usually on his camping trips or when you're looking for Bigfoot, I believe it is.
Yeah.
And so tell us about Joe Boo. How did he become your mascot for your channel?
Well, I'd been trying. I hate doing videos by myself all the time. And so I'm always looking for somebody to co-star, come along for the ride or something like that. And it's with my work schedule and, conflicting with everybody else's work schedule, it's, hard to do. And so I had a friend that I worked with at the factory, and me and him were big into like throwing movie quotes back and forth at each other. And we could actually hold a conversation doing movie quotes, and we didn't work close enough together. We could just talk. You had to yell it. So I would like be heading to the snack machines and I'd be like, yo, Joe Boo needs a refill. And he knew that meant I was going to the snack machine. Do you want something? And so he would always answer back, yeah, I want a Diablo sandwich and a Dr. Pepper, and I'm in a big damn hurry, from Smokey and the Bandit. And so we would use different movies and actually hold conversations. And Major League was a big one. And one day, because other people that I worked with and people that live here watch my videos, because the mountains are right out. If you look out my back door, bam, there's the Blue Ridge Parkway and the mountains. We're at the base of it. Everybody knows it's there. Everybody knows there's wilderness back there. Everybody knows there's trails back there. But hardly anybody's actually gone back there and explored it and mapped it all out. So everybody kind of hears about stuff that's back there, but they really don't. They've never been back there. So people here watch my videos to see what I'm showing back there. And so they'll mention it to me. Like, hey, I watched your video. How do you get to that trail you were on, whatever. And one of them mentioned my name and said, why don't you just get a voodoo doll or something to hang off your mirror or something while you're riding? I was like, well, if I'm going to get a voodoo doll, there's only one. That's
good stuff. Well, I always love Joe Boo, and that you have. I'm not going to spoil it. If you want to see who Joe Boo is, check out the movie Major League. It is inappropriate humor that would be villainized if you put that movie out today. Another sports movie, all-time classic, is Slapshot.
The Hanson Brothers.
The Hanson Brothers. Good stuff. All right. So you've been riding for 40 years, and you've had 27 motorcycles. What was your favorite motorcycle over those 27 bikes?
That's tough. So what do I qualify as? The most reliable, the one I like the best?
I don't care. To me, reliability has nothing to do with smile factor or grin factor. Giggle every time you hit the starter button.
All right. There's one bike that I owned that to this day I kind of still wish I had it. And I would have to classify that one as my favorite bike of all time. And that was the original Ducati Monster. I absolutely loved that bike.
Is this back to the old days of a dry clutch? And
it was a 1997 Ducati 750 Monster. Yeah.
It was painful in a Ducati back then. It really. Wow.
I
Okay.
absolutely, that's still to this day the best sounding bike I've ever heard.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Good stuff. What was the worst bike you owned out of the 27? That you couldn't kick it to the curb fast enough, and we've all had all those.
Honestly, 1999 883 Sportster.
Is unreliable or just unrefined?
Put it this way, I was riding down the road one. I was happy as hell when I bought that bike. That was my first Harley, and I was so proud of it. But as things went wrong with it, you know, I'm kind of like using my cognitive dissonance, going, "It's still a good bike. It's still a good bike." And I remember one time I worked for Mitsubishi Motors at that time in Bloomington, Illinois, and I'm like, you know, riding down the road and pulling up to a stop sign, and I hear this crazy rattling sound. I'm like, "What the hell is that?" And I looked down, and my taillight passed me on the pavement going, you know, through the intersection. It had fallen off and slid past me while I was slowing down to stop. It went by. There's always something falling off that bike.
Oh my God, that's terrible.
I'll say it's tied. I had a Vespa P200 that was about equally unreliable as that bike.
Fair enough. The old two-stroke with the
Yeah.
twist shifter. That's great stuff. Great stuff. Folks, if any of you have any questions for Tom, jump in and we'll squeeze them in there. Usually you can ask at the end, it's over. Everybody's asking what you have in your glass. We have a bet on bourbon. We have a second bet on wild turkey.
Nope, I got
And,
Joe Boo.
but
Joe Boo's
Joe Boo drinks rum, by the way, so that's my guess.
Yeah, so Joe Boo brought his rum, so that's what we got.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But my wife won't let me smoke cigars in the house, so can't have my cigar.
I was expecting to see her comment in the background here. You couldn't talk her into that?
I think she's watching, but I don't know. I don't think she said anything.
All right. Mrs. Voodoo, if you're out there, throw some comments in there to stir up Tom and get him fired up. That would be fun. We talked about what got you into mini motos. It's not what got you into it. You started on them and you're going to end with them. What I'm hearing.
Yeah, I'm kind of coming like full circle because I did go to bigger bikes. I mean, I've owned like a Road Kings with 1340. You know, I've had the Ducati Super Sport 1000. I've had some big bikes.
Kelly responded. She said she's watching.
Oh, yep, there she is. Hi, honey. I'm being nice. I'm not saying anything bad about you.
He's not smoking a cigar.
Joe Boo might let me have his. Oh, so yeah, I've just kind of gotten to the point where, like I said, I've had some really high-powered bikes and things, and I'm 56 years old, and I have no delusions about my mortality. I know I've got about 20 years or so left here, and I'm to the point now where I'm kind of looking at like, what's the last bike I'm going to buy? What's the bike I'm going to own for the rest of my life? You know. And I kind of look at like big powered bikes as paying for horsepower that I'm really not intended to. It's not intended for me to use it, if that makes any sense.
It does. It does. And I have come full circle as well. I've gotten to the point I've had leader size bikes that did close to 200 miles per hour, and I'm like, I can't use this power. That's crazy. What am I doing here? And I've just kind of scaled it down. And people laugh at me. I know I'm a big Harley dude, tattoos, and got 2 Harleys in the garage. Every time I get on that Vespa, I just smile. Yeah. Before Tom went to buy his Super Cub, he was thinking about a Piaggio 40, I would say, which is Piaggio makes Vespa. They're also the prime owner of Guzzi, Aprilia, which Shane rides a as well. So they make fantastic world-class race bikes. He said, "Scooter, no, he does not," and he drives me insane. That's what your wife. So, but I've been across the United States on a 150cc scooter, and I would do it again tomorrow. It was my most memorable trip.
My
It's not
my kind of criteria is whatever speed limit you're wanting to do on the whatever road you're on. Say it's the interstate, you need something that's going to do more than 70 miles an hour because you're going to have to deal with hills and all kinds of things. So you need something that'll do the speed limit no matter what the terrain is doing. And so that's kind of what I'm looking at right now. Is I want to stay off of the interstate. I want to explore America once I retire. I want to go explore all the states, see everything there is to see, but do it from back roads and country roads and things like that. So
I'm going to make. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just saying. My criteria is I got to have a bike that'll do 55, no matter what the terrain is.
That ain't a scooter. That's 150 cc's. As soon as you go uphill, it's game over. You're down to 35 in a hurry.
Like well, I had to take the Super Cub to get a tire yesterday, and I took the Blue Ridge Parkway, and there was parts where I was struggling to do 30 miles an hour.
I've got a busy fall coming up, or summer's too much over, but I am going to try to make your way for fall, catch a hotel for the night, maybe get some riding for a day or two, and then head home. I would like to. Maybe with you and Joe Boo and rum.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know about that.
Well, if you and Joe Boo hit it off, I'll sleep by myself, and you guys can have it.
No, I'm out on that. I'm out. So, next question: what's your favorite ride or trip you've taken?
Believe it or not, I haven't really taken any. I rode from Fort Drum to Newport News, Virginia Beach,
right,
on a KLR 650 because that's what I had at the time when I got stationed down here. And I did like sections 1 and 2 of the Mid-Atlantic Backcountry Discovery Route. And those are the 2 longest trips I've done. So I haven't really gotten to go do anything. That's why I said I'm waiting until I retire so I have time and I can just go out and do what I've been wanting to do. My friend,
book a long weekend and start taking small trips and make it happen. There's no guarantees when you retire your body's going to be able to do it.
I know.
I'm not trying to give you the dad speech. I'll be 61 in 3 weeks. So
come on, Dad.
Respect your seniors. I'm just saying.
Because even in the military, because I've been to almost every state, but I haven't gotten to see everything. I've just kind of passed through. And even in the military, I've been on every continent on this planet except for Antarctica. But I haven't gotten to see a whole lot. Been there, but didn't get to see anything. I went to Egypt, and I only saw the pyramids from the window of an airplane. So that's kind of why I want to go out and see everything.
Guys, the audio issue is on my end. I have a weak Wi-Fi tonight. I live in the sticks. I only have one choice for internet. It is what it is. I apologize. So we're rolling with what we have to work with. Hopefully you'll pick up every third word, and I'm going to rely on Tom to carry the conversation. So my apologies to everybody.
Well, I've got Joe Boo rubbing some voodoo magic on my end, so my audio.
So you've ridden out of the United States, correct?
No. Well, I rode a 4-wheeler overseas, a couple of times.
Okay.
That was with the military.
Enough. Any plans for another bike? And I want to plead the fifth because Billy's watching and commenting. We'll move swiftly on to the next question.
No, she's heavily involved in that. She's got the one she wants me to buy.
Kelly, I have 3 bikes in my garage as we speak. I got rid of one last month. Another one is one that I'm not going to reveal yet on the channel till I get my grimy hands on it. So it's a bit. She's in the know, she says. Love it. I hope to meet Kelly someday. She sounds like an absolute card. I'd love to meet you, ma'am.
Well, we pretty much agree on the one that she likes too, so we both like it.
If you had to go back in your 40 years of riding, is there anything you would change? I know military sewed up a lot of your life.
Well, I mean, hindsight's always 2020.
Of course it is.
I can't really say I would because every bike I've owned, I have learned a lot. Not just about that bike, but about motorcycling and myself. So no, I don't think I would go back and like really change anything because you got to have experience. Um, they say wisdom comes from experience, and most of that experience is bad. So I kind of stick with that. I mean, if I knew then what I know now, I actually still wouldn't buy the bike I'm wanting to buy because it wasn't invented yet.
All right.
Or it was, but it just wasn't up to stuff yet. Let's put it that way. I'll give you a hint. The next bike I'm buying is a bike I've wanted for about 20 years, and I've never bought it. I've looked at it, I've ridden it, I've checked it out, I've kicked the tires, and I've always walked away and never bought the thing because I didn't think it was good enough.
You know what bike I thought would work well for you in the back of my mind when I watch your camping videos is a TW200.
Been there, done that. I've already had one.
All right. All right. Fair enough.
And it was a decent bike. I liked it well enough. It's just the fuel range was terrible, and nobody really made a good rack system for it at that time.
And it's going to blow up. It sounds like it's going to blow up at 55 miles an hour.
They're not bad at 55. If you're wanting to go 65, then you start having some trouble. But
Gotcha.
TW200 is a decent bike. It's not one. That's not one that I regret buying. Let's put it there.
Gotcha. Now I'm going to say again, I occasionally keep keeping Tom's channel in a link where you can click, and please, I hope you will consider coming to his channel. I want to talk about another one of our videos where you dressed your DoorDash outfit. You went up the mountains specifically looking for hikes. Let's talk about that video for a second. This is fascinating, folks. Listen to this.
The Appalachian hiking trail goes from Georgia to New Hampshire or something like that. Anyway,
Right.
It basically kind of follows the Blue Ridge Parkway a lot. And so it's not far from my house either. And one of the roads that I take to get to the Blue Ridge Parkway, there's a hiking shelter right near that. And so every night hikers get to that point and they camp out for the night. And so these people are like, living off granola bars and ramen and stuff like that while they're hiking, and they don't get like hot food a lot. So me and Joe Boo went out and bought them some pizza, threw it on the Super Cub, and rode up there and surprised them, delivered pizza up there.
You knew they knew there, or you just happened upon them?
No, I had a good idea that they were going to be there. I didn't know who. I just knew there'd be should be a group of people up there.
And, what Tom did, what he's leaving out here, is he showed up out of the blue. He finds these young folks that are hiking through the mountains or whatever. They're staying in these kind of Quonset huts or whatever on the trail, or tents as best they can. And he's like, "Who ordered the pizza?" And people are like, "What the hell?" And he said, no. Actually, I just want to sit down and talk to you. Pizza's on me. I want to hear about your life and your adventure. And he sat down, shared his pizza in his DoorDash outfit. These kids opened up a clam at high tide. And I just told them about their lives and what's going on with them and how they were down with it. One of them had a YouTube channel. It was fascinating interaction with a generation or two behind us, Tom. For real. It was good stuff,
I should have done it a little bit earlier in the season because I was kind of catching the tail end of it. Because they got to leave by a certain time frame or they won't make it to Mount Katahdin, which is the end of it, before winter. Gotcha. Once the snow and everything starts hitting, they got to be done by then. So I was kind of catching the tail end of the season. I should have done it earlier in the season. I could have had 40, 50 people up there at that time. I might do it again next spring.
That's fascinating. All right. We go to lightning round. Take a look at Kelly's remark I just posted. I'm not going to comment on that. That's this fight between you two. We already talked about the first bike you ever owned. We already talked about your favorite bike you've ever owned. If money were no object, is there any other bike you would like to own? Here's $1 million. Go find the perfect motorcycle. I don't care how much it costs.
Can it be that I have a garage and it's something I kind of want to just keep nice?
Of course, Kelly personally spoke to me and gave me permission since you have $1 million in a garage now.
Kelly, close your ears. If money were no object and I was allowed to go buy any bike I wanted just to have it and that I've got it, there it is, I would go out and buy the most pristine example of a Ducati 916 that I could find.
962.
916, 916.
Randy's asking what the F happened to Einstein. That's Joe Boo from the that's his mascot that he takes camping, and when he's searching for Sasquatch, you have to talk about the Sasquatch series as well.
He's my stunt coordinator and part-time aromatherapist.
And Joe Boo is from the movie Major League with Charlie Sheen, old school movie, early 80s, I want to say.
Late 80s.
Late 80s, there you go. So good stuff. So just recap, which bikes were you going to say? I'm sorry, I was responding to people and I'm terrible host on juggling all this. 916 class. Got it.
Yeah, Ducati 916.
That was a gorgeous bike. It really was.
That's a beautiful.
Come on, the new Pangelli.
Don't care. I don't care. I don't care about the scramblers. I don't care about the. Somebody asked me about the Desert X. Don't like it. I don't like the monsters. I don't like anything Ducati makes right now. I love the Ducati Monster from the late 90s. That bike was sweet as hell.
My stepmother, who lived for 40 years, is 90. She just 32 now. She had a Ducati Super Light, if you remember that bike.
Yeah, that's the 900 SS. Yeah,
correct.
Yep.
So, and
that's a nice bike. That's a nice bike too. If you get the full fairing one, I don't like the SP model. The half fairing.
It was full fairing. The only thing that gave me heartburn was yellow instead of red.
Yeah. Well, like the Ducati 748, those should be yellow. The 916 should be red. You know, there's certain ones that are supposed to be yellow. So kind of like
Kelly says you almost killed yourself on a Ducati.
I did not. I only broke my collarbone.
Craig from MSG retired. He went down on the track, and I want to say, I don't remember which bones he broke, but I think it was his collarbone.
Believe it or not, here's another one. Just a little bit off topic. We'll get right back to it. When I said I was been on YouTube since 2006,
right?
My very first video on YouTube was a motorcycle video. This is before GoPros and all that stuff. I took my cell phone, turned the camera on, and duct taped it to the mirror, and went blowing down the mountain on a 50cc scooter, just hauling it. I blew by a cop. That was my very first video on YouTube. But talking about wrecking the Ducati, I actually wrecked that bike because I had a GoPro mounted too low on the fairing while I was riding. There's a really twisty section called Snowden Pass near here. And I was doing runs up and down that. And I would move the camera, because I only had one camera at that time when GoPro was new. And I would just move it to different places on the bike and make another pass. And then I would edit all the footage together. And I had mounted it too low, and I went through a corner leaned over so far that I hit the camera on the ground. And just my first instinct in my head was save the camera. And so I, lessened my lean angle, which altered my trajectory, leaving the turn, which put me in a ditch, which I was fine in the ditch because I was woeing it up. But you see the danger of falling rock signs? Well, a rock had fallen into that ditch and was sitting right in the middle of it, and I smacked
it. Steve from Scooter and the Sticks, who just bought a brand new bike to him, bought a Kawasaki WS650. The retro one.
Yeah, that's like it's kind of like the Triumph Bonneville or something like that.
His wife Kim, note Kelly, if you're listening, his wife Kim gave him blessings, and he ran within 48 hours and had a new bike. So I'm just saying.
I'm laughing at Mr. GS48's comment there. The only Ducati I'd buy today and tomorrow is the 1000 DS with the double exhaust. That's the one I wadded up over there.
a nice bike.
Yeah, that's the one I wrecked. That was a cool bike. That was a nice engine in that bike.
We had Willie. I'm sorry, Willie. New time viewer to my channel. I'm not familiar. Maybe you know this, John. He said the Appalachian Trail begins at Springer Mountain, Georgia, and ends in Mount Katahdin. I'm butchering that. Maine. The trail stretches for 2,200 miles. That's incredible. I can't imagine hiking. Good stuff.
I have trouble hiking from here to the fridge.
All right. Lightning round has taken longer than predicted. Sorry.
All right, go.
Any advice for somebody wanting to start out a YouTube channel? And that's a tough question because it's a long, hard, lonely road. It really is.
Be real. That's my advice.
Be yourself.
Be yourself. Be real. Don't fall into that trap thinking that you got to start doing like clickbait titles and thumbnails and selling out for sponsorships and things like that. Just be real. That's my thing.
I just recently did a rant about that. I called "Don't Be a Shill." I'm tired of it. You know, there's so many infomercial YouTube channels. I'm like, delete. I never want to see your content again. I'm done.
They even try to make the commercials look like YouTubers now, you know, or influencers or whatever.
Yeah, painfully honest. I don't get that many reviews, but the few I do, the gloves are off. I just tell it like it is, whether it's good or bad or indifferent, and in relationship to the price.
Yeah, the only things I review is things that I've bought, you know, that I'm using. All right, I bought a new jacket. Here it is, you know, whatever. You know, I don't just go out and do motorcycle reviews.
Okay, Steve is the same bike you do, and that's the Royal Land 400, I think it is.
Yeah.
And he says he's struggling. He has a technical question. How did you clear up the wind noise caused by the windscreens on your Himalayan?
I used the little short stubby windscreen. That moved there's a turbulent air that comes off the front of that, and it hits you right about your head. And so using that short windscreen, it kind of hits me about right here. My head's not quite in clean air, but it's a lot better. I put the stock screen back on for the last couple of videos, and I took it right back off because I wear helmets that have visors on them because I like to keep the sun out of my eyes. And that turbulent air hits that visor and it causes a vibration. And I can't ride for very long that way. You know, about 55 miles an hour, it starts doing that.
Steve has been struggling with that. And I know Tom has, in 2 videos that I know of, said, folks, let me know. Here's the adjustments I made. Let me know how the audio sounds. So it's not just your old ears listening to it and thinking everything's fine, and it's not, you know.
And it's not just the Himalayan, because I went through a ton of YouTube videos because somebody asked about, I don't remember who it was, asked about the Ducati Desert X. And that was one of them that I looked at. I watched the videos and was really paying attention to the audio. And the Tenere 700, any of the kind of Dakar style adventure bikes, all of those bikes seem to do that.
All right. Weirdest thing you ever dragged home a bike? We have all carried home groceries, boxes from the post office. Could be a Costco thing of toilet paper during COVID, and somehow you managed to get it home without wrecking the bike.
Okay, it wasn't me dragging anything home, but while I was delivering on the Super Cub, sometimes I get what they call shop and deliver orders, where I got to go to like Dollar General or Walgreens or something and pick something up. So I got an order, and it was a decent paying order. It was like $15, one item, you know, going 6 miles or something like that. I'm like, that's decent. I'll do that. So I'm on the Super Cub, haul ass over to it was Dollar General. Went to Dollar General. Once I say I'm there, then it'll show me what I'm picking up. And it was a chair. So I had this big ass chair strapped to the top of the Super Cub, the pizza box, and I'm like riding through town. And I made it. I got it all the way there. So that's probably
incredible. We all have had those moments where we bring home something. I had a P200 at one time as well. I went to pick up pizza, and of course, it didn't fit in my top box. Like, I'll just put it in the left shield on my lap. And my knees are so high because I'm 6'4" that the pizza box was parallel with the handlebars, and it kept hitting the kill switch the whole way. And then I got to listen to a bunch of chin music from Mrs. Crack. How the pizza was cold when I got home.
Yeah, I've delivered pizza on the Super Cub, one handed because there's no clutch on it. You can operate it one handed. So I've gone down the road with pizzas in my hand.
Too funny. Too funny. What's your scariest moment on a bike? I think I already know this. Sounds like the GoPro Ducati issue.
No, I didn't have time to be scared. For that.
All right.
It happened so fast. I didn't have time. It was actually on the Seika 400. I had that bike for probably 4 or 5 years, actually. And I got a job working third shift as a security guard in another town like 30 miles away. And so I had to drive at night on the motorcycle to this other town. And on the road, there's a 90-degree turn that's kind of banked a little bit, and you can just fly around it. You can just lean it over and zoom, go right through this turn. So that was kind of like the highlight of my commute to work, was get to that corner. And as I'm going through the corner, it's dark, and you know how your headlight kind of shines across the road into the opposite lane and into the opposite ditch, not the ditch next to you. So I'm like going around this corner, and boom, right past me was a large, hairy thing standing up on 2 legs. I mean, I could have reached out and touched it. It was like, right past. I was like, holy shit, I'm going down the road. I'm like, I just saw Bigfoot. I'm like, big hairy thing standing up on 2 legs. I'm like, oh my God, wait till I get to work and tell everybody. I got down the road, not even a mile. And I was like, I got to see it again. I got to turn around. I got a headlight. I'm on a motorcycle. I could probably outrun it. I got to see it again. So I turned around, and, I'm like easing my way back, to where I saw this thing. I'm weaving back and forth trying to get my light shining into the ditches to find out. And there was a bear standing on the side of the road eating trash.
I was going to say, up your way, black bear are no joke. And
this was in Illinois.
Oh, okay.
So it was not here. But, and that was it was kind of I don't want to say a life-altering experience, but it was kind of an epiphany to me. Because had I continued on going straight, I would have went and told everybody that, hey, I saw Bigfoot. And I'd have been convinced that I saw a Bigfoot. But since I decided to check it out, I was mistaken. It was a bear.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
So that's why, like I said before, when I was doing like Bigfoot videos and things like that, I don't say people who claim they saw Bigfoot, I don't call them liars. I don't think they're lying. Most of them are probably genuinely mistaken, like I was.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, I've covered questions I have tonight. Is there anything the audience wants to ask or throw in, and anything Tony would like to add to it? Any elbows you want to throw at your lovely bride in there? The
honey, Joe Boo needs a refill.
Oh my gosh. She's going to beat you up when this stream ends.
Well, I'm out. I've emptied that one.
Fair enough. Well, I'm blessed. Thank you for joining me tonight. Folks, those of you that are watching, that are going to watch this live stream because you were unable to catch it live, if you would like to be on my live stream and you have a compelling story to tell about your life, I would love to hear it. Reach out to me at krakensgarage@gmail.com, and we'll talk and possibly put it on the show. The point of these streams is to highlight a guest. It has nothing to do. My channel is not for me. I put an inordinate amount of effort to help people, whether it's with their channel or with my content, to help people become young riders, become old riders, if that makes sense. So my channel is a bit unusual. There you go. I hope everybody enjoyed tonight's stream. Boo, you have anything to say?
He's good.
He's good?
Yeah.
Get him another drink.
He's got to go practice. He's working on his new career as an amateur tattoo artist.
Oh, nice, nice. Well, I thank everybody, and we're going to end the stream. And whoop, I lost you. There you go. Hit a wrong button. If you could hang on for just a moment, Tom, and I'm going to bid everybody adieu and have a wonderful evening. Have a safe weekend and go riding, folks, because it's good for you. And I'll see you in the next one.